Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Wave Podcast here at the Culture Wave Media Network, and we are here to discuss A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. It is the latest film starring Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell, directed by Kogonada. I'm going to be one of your hosts. My name is Darian Scalamoni. I am joined by Liz Seiko.
Hello, DJ. What's happening?
Hello. It's been a while since we've pod together.
Oh, I've missed
Excited
it.
to be back. Missed you. This was a movie that I remember tracking for a while, especially because it was a very big deal because it was the first thing that Margot signed on to post Barbie.
I know.
And so Kogonada is a filmmaker that I had heard a lot about, but I've never seen any of his other films.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen any of his other films?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so this is his second time working with Colin Farrell. The last film he did, I believe it was a 2021 or 2022 release, was After Yang, which was Colin Farrell and Jodie Turner-Smith, I believe, were the two leads. But I know like he broke out with this indie, I don't even know if it was a romance film, but it was kind of just a walk and talk movie with two very underrated performers in my mind, with John Cho and Haley Lou Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was actually kind of the thing that springboarded her to getting like White Lotus and getting more opportunities. And a lot of people had talked about how he was a very meditative filmmaker. He kind of had this enchanting way about the way he tries to do things. And in this movie, I would say, does try to go above the bounds of reality in an interesting way. I don't know how else to explain it. It's a very complicated movie for me because on the surface, it feels like it is just a very paint by numbers romantic dramedy thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are other moments where there's flashes where it's like, I can understand how this movie could have drawn the attention of two incredibly talented performers and lead actors like Margot and Colin, who are kind of interestingly both at this point at like the top of their notoriety, you could say. Like with Margot, obviously, like Barbie was the biggest thing she had ever done. Obviously, she was huge for My Tanya and Wolf of Wall Street, but Barbie was like a cultural phenomenon. Colin Farrell got in probably the most acclaim he's ever gotten in his career for playing Oswald Cobblepot in The Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
And so to take these two great actors and put them together in a romance movie, you would think, oh, wow, this is going to do great. Not only do I think it undersells its premise and the movie itself, but it bombed at the box office. Completely bombed at the box office. It had a $45 million budget, which is a mid-level budget. And I believe it made $8 million opening weekend, which is shocking to me. I don't think word of mouth helped it. But Liz, for you, give me your broad thoughts, because this was one I'm not sure if you also tracked it like I did. But were you excited for this movie? Are you excited to talk about this movie? Where do you want to go? I'll let you lead.
I am excited to talk about this. You know what's funny? I'm pretty sure this was on my like top 10 most anticipated
at
for
the
this
beginning
year.
of the year. It's okay. We've all been there. Last year I had The Instigators. It was an Apple original film that I heard was terrible, and I still haven't watched it.
I never even heard of it. I feel like it would probably
and
talk
it was my
about
number one.
There you go.
Look at that.
There you go. No, I definitely had this on my like most anticipated, only because of the two lead actors. Like I was like, I'm sure whatever they do together is going to be brilliant, and I can't wait to watch it. My thoughts on this film are, they had a really good trailer, in my opinion. I think the trailer was very strong and like very misleading of like what the film was actually going to do. And I'm like a cut queen. I love short movies. This movie is under 2 hours, and like thank God it wasn't over 2 hours, because I could have seen this film being in that like 2:30 range and being very drawn out and long, and like it would have even gotten more worse reviews than it does now if it was that long. But anyways, I think it's a very fantastical and like experimental film almost. I think those are the two words that I kept ringing in my head when I was trying to like figure out what my thoughts were on this film. I also think probably one of the things that didn't help it, because when you are in like a fantastical, imaginative world like this that is blurring the line between reality and fantasy, I think you need to have a clear vision. And we have a different writer. Like the writer and director aren't the same person.
Mhm.
And so part of me thinks maybe that hindered it because potentially the writer, Seth Rice, I think, because I don't know how you
Mhm.
pronounce his last name. He probably had a clear vision, saw it exactly in his head, and wrote it exactly how he wanted it. And I'm sure that just through interpretation, things can get a little bit murky,
Mhm.
or just different interpretations can lead to different things. So I think for something like this, it probably needed the same writer director combo so that the vision could be fully thought through and be pushed through. I don't know about you, but it also gave me kind of like it made me feel like I was watching a play at some points. And then I almost was thinking, I was like, maybe the writer like wanted this initially to be for the stage, because it does call actually a lot on like the actor and like performing. And so I was like, maybe did you think of that at all or not really?
I didn't feel that. I think it was because of the fantastical elements that didn't make me feel that way, because there are moments where it makes itself so self-aware that it's a movie, where they have those elements of like, there's a door in the middle of the woods and that's not possible, and how would that just exist?
You could do that on stage though.
You could, but I in my experience of seeing on stage work,
Okay.
I haven't seen anything like that. So I didn't get that vibe necessarily. You come a lot more from a theater
That's
background.
all I kept thinking about, is I was just like, I just kept feeling like I was like, this would have probably done way better if it was a play. Like all the monologues and all the like existential conversations they're having. Like I just kept picturing them just like talking into an audience and just like word vomiting. I think also because it's like we're talking about two different mediums. A play is very heavy on dialogue versus films like this, it's all visual. And for me, I feel like this movie was a lot of conversation and like a lot of words.
Yeah, it kind of, I think that's part of the reason why when you look at like the ensemble, it's like every single actor that read the script must have thought it was going to be something different.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't mean that in like an insulting way towards the writer or towards the visionaries that wanted to make this movie happen, but you look at the ensemble for this movie, and they're all very capable, solid, really well-working actors. Like beyond even Colin Farrell or Margot Robbie. Phoebe Waller-Bridge does not do a lot of acting.
No.
And she's in this movie. She kind of plays the one that is a huge part of the setup. Who's her right-hand man in the movie? Kevin fucking Kline, who's been nowhere for like a decade. Another fantastic actor.
Yeah.
What made him sign on to do this movie? There had to have been something that he saw in the script initially that doesn't make it to the final product.
To screen.
Yes. Yeah. Beyond that, I mean, there's a lot of actors that have very small parts. Billy Magnuson appears in one scene.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Hamish Linklater has some great scenes with Colin Farrell.
Mm-hmm.
Lily Rabe. I think Lily Rabe and Margot Robbie's relationship is the best part of the movie.
I agree. I have that in my notes.
Let's go.
It's my favorite part.
Fantastic.
Yep.
And that's the thing. Like that's what's so disappointing about this for me, because there are moments where I get captured by what they're trying to do. I love some of the conversations that Margot and Colin have. I love that Colin is able to go back and see a younger version of himself and have a conversation with him from the perspective of his father. Like that is something that is different. It is experimental and it works, but it's all the other pieces that don't come together. And I think you had brought this up right before we started rolling. The unfortunate reality is that as great as Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie are as individual actors, they do not have chemistry on screen, especially in a romantic sense.
I know. And I'm so disappointed, because I really think if they had even a little bit more of a spark or like a little bit more believableness to that there was going to be sparks flying at a certain point, I think it would have kept then the audience there to be like, okay, at the end of the day, it's a rom-com. Like they're going to fall in love. Like, let's do this. The whole time I was just like, they're just friends. They're literally like, they don't want anything to do. I just never felt that tension. I never felt that chemistry going, which is a bummer. So annoying, because I thought that sparks were going to be flying off that screen.
Yeah, I think the emotion, it's weird because the emotional beats is where they thrive together.
Yeah.
In scenes, but it's not necessarily in a romantic sense. It's in a sense of like
supporting.
Yes, and
like
I care about you as a person.
Yeah.
But not in a romantic sense. You know what this movie did for me, which I don't want to go on a whole tangent about a whole different movie.
Go on a tangent.
This film made me appreciate materialists even more. In your notes?
Oh my God. It's in my notes.
Let's go,
it's
Liz.
In my notes.
We're on the same wavelength
it's in
right
my notes.
now.
Why? Because you know what? I loved that movie, and I feel like we weren't on the same page when we talked about that movie. What made you appreciate?
So I think my biggest thing with that film, which I do still stand by, is that as great of a movie as that is, Past Lives is almost a perfect film for me. So coming off of that, it's like my expectations couldn't have been higher.
Okay.
For anything that Celine Song was going to do, and this is why I love her as a filmmaker. But the biggest thing for me was that when we get to the end of this movie, this is a spoiler, but if you're watching this review, I would have to assume you guys have seen the movie. But if you haven't, maybe pause and come back. Skip like 5 minutes. It's the exact same ending. It's the exact same ending. And there is a part of me that wonders, do you know who did this movie? What studio it was? I want to say it's Paramount, but I might be incorrect in saying that. I can't imagine that they were pleased seeing the end of Materialist.
Columbia Pictures.
Columbia. Okay, so it's Sony. Sony was the distributor. So I can't imagine Sony must have been happy if they had people in the audience for Materialists seeing that not only is it the exact same ending, it's blocked the exact same fucking way, which is shocking. I actually almost gasped in the theater seeing the ending and being like, oh my God, they're doing Materialists. Oh my God, they're doing Materialists. So it made me feel more of a spark in terms of the relationship, especially between Chris Evans and Dakota Johnson in that film compared to, and again, that's not taking away anything. Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie are two of my favorite actors.
They're brilliant.
Alive.
Brilliant.
But it just didn't work. And then I started to think to myself, like, what if we put Dakota and Chris in this movie? And then do we have a different movie? Do we have a different sense? So the biggest thing for me, my biggest takeaway with A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey is that it's not a bad film in terms of like, there are some technical moments that like, I think there's some shoddy CGI at parts, but in a sense, it's a movie that has these bigger, no pun intended, a bigger, bolder vision for what Kogonada wanted to do and maybe what Seth wanted to do. But it wasn't executed in the way that it should have been, to where Materialists, going back to that now and revisiting that in my head coming off of this, it's like that was a simpler story that they were able to get a lot more out of, which I didn't feel the first time I saw it. So sometimes you need to get these experiences, Liz, to have a different perspective.
I love it. And DJ, we have never been more on the same page because I literally have notes. I'm like, maybe there's too many big conversations being had in this film versus Celine's song is able to focus on one like conversation and then start to show like, oh, how does this expand into other things? I think this film just tried to like talk about all like trauma from our parents. What do we get from our parents? What traumas do we pass on to our relationships? Like also dating, like how do you show all the different personalities that you have to the person that you're dating? I mean, these are like big conversations, especially for a filmmaker to fully investigate and like dive through, versus I think Celine's song is able to say like, okay, I'm going to focus on dating today. And then whatever comes out of that exploration, then I'll touch on, but I don't need to do a deep dive of everything else.
Yeah, it's more about putting the authenticity in the characters with Celine's work.
Yes.
Versus trying to play off big ideas and then putting actors in roles to serve that story.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it does.
You know? Yeah.
And like, it's interesting though, because in a way, I feel like this film is like very overwritten though, too, at the same time, even though they're trying to cover all these different topics. Like halfway through I was already like, all right, I get it, like I get what we're trying to talk about. Stop telling me and show me now.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it really fails, is it's just a lot of like shoving the concepts down your throat verbally versus visually showing us. And instead they show us like the world at one point, them like looking down at the world and being like, we're looking at us.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we doing?
Well, I think so. So
right
I understand what you're saying in terms of the conceptual nature of like these bigger ideas. But the other thing for me, and shout out to Christian Harloff, who's also on YouTube, because he said this in his Out of the Theater reaction. He came out and he's like, do you know what the rules are in this movie? Not really. And you kind of don't. Like the way the world exists.
Yeah.
You are just thrown into it. and you're expected to kind of follow along, and there are moments within it where you're just like, what is happening? Like, what is going on? Like, how are they exploring this? And like you said, it is fantastical, but and I understand it's movies, we suspend disbelief, but it doesn't set you up for anything. You just go. They're at 1 minute, they're at a wedding, a very normal wedding. They have a not normal conversation, by the way. I think it is maybe one of the worst introduction scenes that I've ever seen between two love interests in a movie ever.
Which is not good, because then right from the start, you're like, I'm not
invested.
buying it. I'm not buying it.
Yes. You're not invested at all. And then you get to this point where you're like, of course, they're just going to set them up because they're two beautiful people and they're Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell. We need to go on this literal ride with them. But then you start to explore all these different things, and we get a musical sequence, and we get these intimate moments between Colin Farrell and a teenager, which is also a weird thing. And so do me a favor, go on IMDb and look up Kogonada's films and tell me if, especially his film Columbus, if he wrote that movie. Because, and I'm ashamed to say, like, I wish I had seen his other films before I got to do this review, and I wanted to. I just didn't have the time.
He did write it.
He did. So much of what made that movie work, based on what I've heard and what critics have said, is that it's about that relationship that is explored in the writing. And he didn't write this movie, which you talked about. And it's almost like, I wonder and I wish he was able to do the writing and directing for this, but he might have just been a hired gun, where they were like, we just like your visual spectacle, and we think you've been able to handle relationships. So like, maybe if these two don't work, like, you'll be able to bring it together. And you see it in like the tiniest bits. But like you said, it's something in the script that doesn't feel as authentic as the way Celine Song could do it, as the way that maybe Kogonada had done it with something like Columbus. So that's the thing that sucks for me, because it's almost like the intimate conversations with people that are not them work like way better to me.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way as well?
Like the scenes where we'll
jump into Lily and Margot, because that's something that we already touched upon.
That for me was the pivotal point of the entire film, honestly, and the most interesting. But I think it's also because it wasn't trying to be some big, bold, beautiful movie. I think it was truly then just a simple scene between a mother and a daughter. And you're like, yes, the context was very unique because she visually was an older version of herself, but her mom saw her younger.
As a child, yeah.
Which I think that concept is so fun and so cool and very... It just adds another layer to investigate.
All of us strangers thing, isn't it? Yeah, which I know is one of your favorites.
So I like that context, and I think that that's something interesting to explore, but like they aren't able to explore it fully because they only give it like a 15-minute scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that scene for me was beautiful because it's also then exploring like what are her actual fears. She's trying to figure them out as she's going versus just like telling this new person that she met, like instead we actually get to see her interact with her mom. And so yeah, I don't know, also the acting for me was just brilliant.
Yeah, I agree.
Lily's amazing.
I think she's so good, and she's so underrated.
So underrated.
And she should be in everything. I agree though, and even like the scene between Colin and Hamish I thought worked really well, and then Colin eventually in the younger version of himself.
Yes.
A scene that doesn't work for me is the scene with Billy Magnussen and Sarah Gadon, where they go in and they're both confronting their last loves. Yeah. Too much happening. Too much with the blocking. Too much with the throwing everybody for a loop. His ex-girlfriend trying to stab him in the middle of an intense moment. Like in that scene, that's where things go off the rails for me. And that's, I think the movie is just so inconsistent with what it's trying to do. And that's the big part of the reason why for me it undersells. Like it's just something I wanted more from. And it's funny that you said, because you said you're not a trailer watcher, but you said you liked the trailer for this movie.
I liked the trailer.
And when I saw, so again, not having seen Kogonada's work, but knowing what he comes from, seeing that trailer made me even more confused for this movie, because I was like, what the hell am I walking into? Is this a romantic comedy? Because this isn't supposed to be that. And by the way, it's not. It's really not a romantic comedy. Yeah, what do they have it listed as? It's really not comedic at all, to be honest with you.
They have it as a drama, fantasy, romance.
Not even comedy.
I was barely laughing.
No, but I'm saying
I never laughed.
I'm saying the trailer kind of almost, it's doing that thing where a lot of movies are doing that, where they're trying to get people invested in the romance, but it has to go along with the comedy.
So you know what I think I liked
Materialist
about this
was
trailer?
the same thing, by the way.
You have a Materialist I could talk about for years.
I know, but I'm saying the trailer almost pitched it like a romantic comedy. Remember, there was there was articles that came out.
Yeah,
about
people
the
were like, "Oh, I thought
film.
it was gonna be like a girls thing," and they're like, "I'm crying in this seat with like my best friends."
Yes,
which is good. You should go cry with your friends and watch a movie. But anyways, what was I just about to say?
Rom-com trailer.
Oh, so what I think I liked about the trailer was that I didn't know what was going on, and so I was like, "Hell yeah!" Like I like that I don't really know what this movie's technically about. And so, like, I'm excited because then I get to go and experience it. But then
you walk out and you go, I don't know what that movie was about. And that's what you don't want, obviously.
Yes.
As an
or
audience.
not even. Like, I know what this movie was about. And I knew it the moment that they met each other. And I was like, all right, we're going to be going on some big, bold, beautiful journey. And they're going to be looking at each other's trauma all day long.
Yeah.
One thing I want to get your thoughts on, a lot of colors. Specifically red, blue, yellow in like almost every shot. What did you like that? Do you think it enhanced it? Do you think it was just a choice? Do you think there was a reason?
I'm sure there was a reason.
I don't know what it is.
I don't either. I think they did that. There probably was something like, again, I think Kogonada has been known to be this visual filmmaker, and he likes to showcase that a lot. Again, I like the concept of how experimental the movie was. I did like even though the musical sequence is jarring, it was interesting to me.
I liked it.
I thought it was interesting. I liked the whole concept of Colin kind of pouring his heart out to what was his teenage love. Again, being an adult. But no, in terms of the visual style and specific things, like it wasn't like I picked up on something in particular and it made me feel a certain way. I felt like it was there for the sake of trying to make it fantastical and trying to make it feel more enchanting and more mesmerizing in terms of making sure that it didn't feel so regular, I guess. I mean, if the film is being categorized as a fantasy, it's like it kind of barely toes that line of fantasy, almost in a way where one of my favorite romance movies does it with About Time, but I think
they explain what's going on.
They explain what's going on, and I think it's more in terms of its fantastical and its writing. Where this movie, it's almost like they're just gonna show you a weird Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and they're gonna be like, "Yep, pick up the pieces. This is where we're going."
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really wanted this movie to be better.
I did too.
It's probably one of my biggest disappointments of the entire year.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It's not one where, like, if it was on the TV, I would have to immediately change it. I've seen a lot of worse films in my life.
Off.
Yeah, like
Turn it off.
Get it off.
Turn it off.
But no, I think it's okay, and I was hoping for more.
I know. I wanted to sob, and I didn't.
You didn't cry?
Not once.
Yeah.
Because I think I was just like.
By the time the scene with Lily and Margot happens, the movie is almost at its wit's end.
Well, it also just feels like they're like, come on, give us those tears.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I don't want to. I'm not gonna cry.
I'm not gonna give them to you. I'm just gonna watch Materialist with my girlfriends. Are you ready for a score?
I am.
All right, you go first.
Okay. I still think that they're brilliant, the two of them. So I can't rip on this like too hard. So I'm gonna give it a solid 6.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 5.
I knew you were gonna be.
I'm gonna go as mid as possible.
I knew you were gonna be lower.
Yeah, I think that like I said, I think I don't think anyone's bad in this movie. I think Margot actually still does a lot with a little in this. I just love her, and she's just I wish she was in more. I almost feel like she needs to be in more.
No. Mm-mm.
I want her in more.
No, because then she's gonna be
we need to savor her.
Then she's gonna be Pedro, and everyone's gonna hate her.
Not that level.
And not want to see her in anything.
But that's insane. That's like Pedro's was.
Yeah, but she's still in a lot.
Yeah, I just feel
like she's about to be in the that movie with
Wuthering Heights. She's gonna be in the new Emerald Fennel movie.
Which so she's putting out a movie a year, and like they're big.
Well,
movies.
I think it's been because it's been it's a little over 2 years since we've seen her on screen because of Barbie.
She had a baby.
I know. Mm-hmm. So, but let's get her in more stuff.
I think she's doing.
I
like once or twice a year, Margot.
Okay, I have one last Margot comment to make.
Okay.
I want to see Margot work with Steven Spielberg.
Okay.
Because
in what, like,
I don't know, but I think that she's done Scorsese. I'm pretty sure she's done David O. Russell, if I'm not incorrect on that. She's worked Damien Chazelle in the brilliantly underrated Babylon. Liz, I don't know if she likes that movie.
I don't.
But Margot loves that
I know
movie.
she does. I saw that. I saw that.
So I don't know. I would just like to see, like, Emily Blunt's about to work with Spielberg in his newest movie. It's her and Colin Firth and I think Josh O'Connor and Coleman Domingo. But like, I just want, like, she's worthy of leading, like, being a leading woman in a Spielberg movie. And obviously she's working with Greta, which is great. She's working with Emerald. Like, every big director needs to work with her. But I don't know. I want to see her work with Spielberg.
All right.
It's a nice connection that I would like to
see.
see. But let us know in the comments, what did you guys think about A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey? Did you guys like it more than we did? Did it live up to your expectations? Was it under your expectations? Is this one of your favorite movies of the year? Or did it underwhelm you guys? Let us know in the comments. Give this video a like if you guys can. And subscribe to us here at the Culture Wave Media Network. We have plenty of other stuff on the channel for you guys. Television and film reviews. We're covering film festivals. I just got back from TIFF. I'm repping right now. We might have an episode up on the channel already about just recapping the festival and a lot of the films that I had a chance to see. But we're also covering Gen V week to week right now. Peacemaker, we have a review upcoming for One Battle After Another. And it's officially award season. So there's going to be tons of reviews on the channel. So share them with your friends. Check those out. And follow us on social media if you guys don't already. All that stuff is below me in the video. And it's also in our YouTube description. Just signing off, I'm Darian Scalamoni.
I am Liz Seiko.
And we'll see you guys next time.
This is The Culture.